In the heart of Kerala, India, lies a temple that doesn't just whisper legend, it roars it. Beneath intricate stone corridors and sacred chants lie treasures beyond imagination, secrets sealed with ancient spells, and vaults guarded by gods, or so the stories insist. We're journeying to a place where history, myth, and immense wealth converge. The Sri Padmanabhaswamy Temple in Thiruvananthapuram, one of India's most enigmatic and revered places.
Today, curious minds, we unlock the story of the Padmanabhaswamy Temple, a place where gold gleams, myths breathe, and some doors refuse to open. And, this isn't merely a tale of hidden riches. It's really a deep dive into profound spiritual significance, incredible ancient engineering, and the enduring power of human belief. We'll be sifting through articles, historical accounts, and some fascinating research to try and understand what makes this temple so uniquely captivating. So maybe a question for you, the listener, right at the start. When you consider a place guarded by both legend and, well, unimaginable wealth, what's the first image that sparks in your mind?
That's a great question. It really sets the stage, doesn't it, for all the layers we're about to peel back. For me, it's the sheer audacity of it, hiding so much wealth, protected not just by stone, but by these stories, these legends that both chill and intrigue you. So let's unpack this, maybe starting right at the foundations, the divine design, and the ancient origins of this secret space. I mean, the city itself, Thiruvananthapuram, that already hints at its spiritual core, right? It translates to the city of Ananta, which is a direct reference to Lord Vishnu.
Exactly. And the principal deity, Padmanabhaswamy, is indeed a form of Lord Vishnu. He's enshrined in that famous Anantashana posture.
Yeah.
The state of eternal yogic sleep on his cosmic serpent Mount Shesha. But what truly sets this idol apart, I think, is its composition. It's not carved from just one piece of stone like you might expect. This magnificent form is actually made from 12,008 sacred shalagram stones.
Wow.
Yeah, and these were sourced from the Gandaki River, which is all the way up in Nepal.
So it's more than just a statue then. It's like a living testament to this ancient, massive pilgrimage and some really meticulous craftsmanship. And I read that devotees don't even see the whole deity at once, do they?
No, that's right.
They view it through three distinct doors. Each one reveals a different part of the reclining form. So first you see the visage and a Shiva lingam beside it. Then the middle door shows Sri Devi and Brahma emerging from the deity's navel, plus some smaller gold idols. And finally, the third door reveals the deity's feet, with Bhudevi nearby. It's almost like a cinematic reveal, designed to build reverence.
It really is. And this reverence, it stretches back millennia. The temple's roots are incredibly ancient. It's mentioned in several major Hindu texts, like the Vishnu Purana, the Mahabharata, and even in Sangam period literature.
And that dates from, 500 BC to 300 AD?
Exactly. We're talking very, very old.
Astonishingly old. And even back then, it was known as the Golden Temple because of its wealth.
Yes, precisely. Because of its unimaginable wealth, even in that early Sangam period. Some ancient texts even describe the city and the temple as having walls of pure gold, almost like some kind of celestial city right here on Earth.
It's hard to even picture.
It is. And its status as one of the 108 Divya Dasams, which are the most significant holy abodes in Vaishnavism, that really underscores its profound spiritual importance, across countless generations.
Right. Which I guess leads us directly into the legends surrounding its origin. The story of the sage, Vilvamangalathu-Swamiya?
Ah, yes. A captivating legend. It's deeply woven into the temple's very beginnings. So the narrative goes that the sage prayed really fervently for Vishnu's divine presence, his darshan. And eventually he was visited by this mischievous but very charming young boy.
Okay.
The sage grew fond of the boy and wanted him to stay. The boy agreed, but only on the condition of utmost respect. But one day, the boy, being mischievous, defiled an idol the sage had prepared for puja. The sage got angry, and the boy vanished instantly.
And this is where it gets really fantastical, right? The sage realizes this wasn't just any child.
Exactly. He's overcome with remorse, begs for another darshan. Then he hears this celestial voice telling him to go to Ananthavana, the unending forest. After a long, desperate search, he apparently overhears a woman mentioning Ananthankadu. He goes there, and he witnesses the boy merge into an alupa tree.
Merging into a tree? Okay.
But then, the deity assumes this extraordinarily vast form,
Hmm.
I mean, stretching an incredible 8 miles long.
8 miles.
8 miles.
Uh.
Its head was supposedly near a place called Thicale, its body right there in Thiruvananthapuram, and its feet way over at Thripapur.
I mean, that's impossible to even visualize properly.
Completely. So the sage, understandably overwhelmed but also practical, he implores the deity to shrink down to a more, well, manageable size, specifically 3 times the length of his staff.
And that resulted in the present idol. Still massive, but viewable through the 3 doors we mentioned.
Precisely. That's the origin story of the current idol.
So this legend, it's not just some old story. It's really the foundational narrative for the temple's actual construction, right? Built on that very spot with help from royalty and Brahmins, it grounds the physical structure in this divine encounter.
Absolutely. And from those whispers of ancient myth, let's maybe ground ourselves now in the reality of the temple stones, its architectural genius, because the temple is this stunning and really quite unique example of a fusion of styles. You've got both Kerala and Dravidian architectural elements blended together.
You can see that blend immediately, can't you? Especially in its grand gopuram, the big entrance tower. It's 16th century towers, 100 feet high, 7 tiers. But it's built in the Pandyan style, which you usually find more in Tamil Nadu.
Right.
Yet elsewhere in the complex, you see those characteristic sloping, tiled roofs of indigenous Kerala architecture. They're perfectly designed, obviously, to handle the heavy monsoon rains in the region.
It's a masterclass, really, adapting to both cultural influence and, well, the environment.
But what's truly ingenious, I think, is the precision engineering hidden within all that grandeur.
Oh, definitely. Tell us about the corridor.
Right, the corridor with the pillars. It features 365 and 1/4 sculptured granite stone pillars, each one intricately carved, just showcasing incredible artistic mastery. But beyond just looking amazing, the Gokuram itself is constructed at perfect right angles to the exact east-west line.
Okay, now that's fascinating. Why?
Well, it means that during the equinoxes, around March 21st and September 23rd, the setting sun aligns absolutely perfectly. It passes straight through each window of the Gopuram, one after the other.
Wow, like a celestial alignment built into the structure.
Exactly. And even the inner sanctum, the Garbhagriha, is aligned this way too.
That's more than just architecture. That's like monumental spiritual engineering. It proves that the ancient builders were also astronomers of, well, the highest order. And the materials they chose, this incredibly durable granite for foundations and pillars and gilded copper plates for the roofing, it just speaks volumes about the advanced metallurgical skills they must have possessed back then.
It really makes you pause, doesn't it? Thinking about all the layers of history and belief and sheer skill that accumulate in a single sacred place like this.
And it's not just a historical monument. The temple remains a vibrant, living center for worship today. You have major festivals like the biannual Aipasi and Panguni festivals. They last 10 days each, and they culminate in the Arat procession.
Right, the Arat. And that's where the Maharaja himself, the head of the Travancore royal family, escorts the deities on foot to Shankamugam Beach for a holy bath. It's a deeply symbolic gesture.
A very public display of that service, the Padmanabhaswamy role.
And then there's the Lashadipam festival.
Yes, once every 6 years.
Involving the lighting of 100,000 oil lamps. Can you imagine what that must look like? Transforming the entire complex into this sea of light. It must be unforgettable.
Absolutely breathtaking, I imagine. And it's worth remembering, too, the strict entry rules that are still in place. Only Hindus are permitted inside, and there's a traditional dress code, the dhoti for men and the sari for women. It really underlines the sanctity and the ancient customs that are preserved in that space.
And this deep connection to tradition, it's maybe best exemplified by the Travancore royal family's unique relationship with the deity, isn't it?
It really is. Padmanabhaswamy is their tutelary deity, their divine protector, which leads us to a really pivotal historical event, the Thrupadi Danam.
The Thrupadi Danam, January 17, 1750, King Enizam Thirunal Martandavarma. He made this absolutely extraordinary gesture. He formally surrendered the entire kingdom of Travancore to Padmanabhaswamy.
The
whole kingdom. He pledged to rule not as king, but as Padmanapadasa, literally a servant of the deity, and all future kings would bear this title. The female members of the family became Sri Padmanabhaswamy.
It's an act almost unheard of in global history, really, dedicating an entire state to a deity.
It completely redefined kingship in Travancore, didn't it?
It did, and it was far more than just symbolic. It solidified divine legitimacy for Martandavarma's rule, especially after consolidating various smaller principalities. It unified the kingdom under this shared spiritual identity. And get this, All future territorial acquisitions, astonishingly, were supposed to be made over to the Devaswam, the temple trust.
Wow.
Even during the British Raj, the temple maintained its prominence. It was seen as a symbol of cultural and spiritual resilience, and the royal family's careful alliances helped preserve its autonomy to a large extent. The British even accorded the deity a 21-gun salute, recognizing its unique status.
And beyond the gold, there's this other treasure trove of history there, isn't there? The palm leaf manuscripts.
Yes, the Metallacum records, over 3 million of them apparently, dating back to at least the 14th century CE. They meticulously detail all sorts of administrative and financial aspects of the temple and the kingdom. Budgets, donations, land records, you name it.
But most remain undeciphered.
The vast majority, yes. Imagine the stories, the lost knowledge, the detailed history just waiting to be revealed within those brittle leaves.
Those untold stories. They lead us perfectly, I think, to the most compelling, maybe the most unbelievable part of this whole deep dive. The vaults. The vaults of incalculable wealth.
Right. The world was just utterly stunned back in 2011. There was a lawsuit alleging mismanagement by the royal family. And following that, a Supreme Court order led to the opening of the temple's secret vaults for inventory.
And initially, there were 6 vaults that were publicly known, labeled A through F. But later, 2 more G and H were discovered, so 8 vaults in total, potentially.
And the contents of just Vault A alone. It's almost impossible to properly comprehend.
Give us some highlights. What are we talking about?
Okay, well, picture this. A 1.1 meter tall, it's about 3.5 feet, solid, pure golden idol of Mahavishnu, absolutely studded with hundreds of diamonds and rubies, just sitting there.
Solid gold. Wow.
And that was just one piece. Imagine an 18-foot-long pure gold chain, or a solid gold sheaf like 4-grain weighing 500 kilograms, that's over 1,100 pounds.
Unbelievable.
A 36-kilogram golden veil. 1,200 gold coin chains, each one crusted with precious stones. And just sacks, literally sacks, overflowing with golden artifacts, necklaces, diadems, countless diamonds, rubies, sapphires, emeralds.
It sounds like something out of a fantasy novel.
It really does, and the list goes on. Ceremonial attire for the deity, solid gold coconut shells studded with gems, even 18th century Napoleonic-era coins somehow found their way there.
Napoleonic coins. How?
Trade, presumably. Or perhaps gifts from European visitors or officials over the centuries. And then there's an 800-kilogram hoard that's nearly 1,800 pounds of gold coins dating back to around 200 BCE. Some of those individual coins are valued at over $320,000 USD each.
Each coin.
Each coin. And a pure golden throne, again studded with hundreds of diamonds and other precious stones, clearly meant for seating the large deity idol.
And there were reports of even more, right? Like gold chairs, pots, jars.
Yes. Reports mentioned hundreds of pure gold chairs, thousands of gold pots and jars. The sheer scale of this accumulated wealth is truly unprecedented in recorded history.
So even with only 5 of the vaults properly inventoried back then.
Right. Vault B remained sealed, and the contents of G and H weren't fully known at that point.
Even so, this collection is considered the largest single discovery of gold and precious stones ever recorded. Early estimates were in the billions, but many analysts now suggest the total value, considering antiquity and craftsmanship, could easily exceed $1 trillion.
The numbers become almost meaningless, don't they? It's not just about the market value of the gold or gems. It's a living archive, a testament to global trade, political power, religious devotion spanning millennia, all hidden in plain sight until 2011.
So where did it all come from? It wasn't just one king's hoard.
No, definitely not. This wealth accumulated over thousands of years. Donations poured in from various South Indian dynasties, the Cheras, the Pandyas, the Cholas, later the Travancore royals themselves, of course. But critically, as those coins suggest, donations also came from traders and pilgrims from far afield, Mesopotamia, Greece, Rome, later Europe. It highlights Kerala's and India's central role in ancient global trade networks.
Oh, there's another layer too, right? About safekeeping.
Yes, absolutely. During times of invasion or instability, like when Tipu Sultan of Mysore invaded the region in the late 1700s, other rulers and temples in southern India actually sent their own temple wealth and treasures here to Padmanabhaswamy for safekeeping. They believed it was divinely protected.
So it became like this super secure, sacred bank vault for the whole region?
Exactly. Which brings us inevitably to the most intriguing, the most mysterious, and perhaps the most infamous part of this temple, Vault B, also known as Mahabharata Kalara. This is the vault that has remained unopened since at least the 1880s, maybe much longer. It's shrouded in layers upon layers of mystery and, frankly, fear.
The attempts to open it back in 2011 were really telling, weren't they? They revealed not just one door, but these multiple physical barriers. There was a metal grill,
Hmm.
then a sturdy wooden door behind that, and then finally this massive iron door that was apparently jammed shut and couldn't be forced open.
But as you hinted earlier, what truly seems to protect it isn't just the metal and wood, it's the powerful legends, the folklore that surrounds Vault B.
What are some of those legends? I've heard about serpent seals.
Right, that's probably the most famous one. The belief that the vault was sealed using powerful Nagapasam mantras, or Nagabandam. These are sacred hymns invoking the protection of serpents, or Nagas. And significantly, the final door, the iron one, apparently has large serpent figures carved or affixed to it, symbolizing this mystical guardianship, like a warning.
Wow. And aren't there stories about spirits too?
Yes, there's the folklore of a fearsome entity, sometimes described as a vampiric spirit called Kaju Yakshi, who is said to be bound to guard the chamber against intruders.
Okay, so mystical locks and spirit guardians. And then there's the curse, isn't there?
Oh yes, the curse. There are numerous chilling tales and local beliefs about misfortune, serious illness, even death befalling anyone who dares to interfere with Vault B's sanctity without performing the correct and likely forgotten rituals. People point to incidents, like alleged snake swarms appearing when an attempt was made in the 1930s, or unexplained illnesses striking those involved in earlier attempts. This reinforces the local fear and resistance to opening it.
It certainly adds a layer of, well, dread. And what about the tunnels? I read something about tunnels to the sea.
That's another fascinating as unverified theory. The idea that Vault B might be connected via secret underground tunnels to the nearby Arabian Sea, and the fear associated with that is the possibility of catastrophic flooding, either of the vault or even parts of the Templar city if it were opened improperly, breaking some kind of ancient hydraulic seal perhaps. It almost feels like the temple itself has these built-in defense mechanisms, both physical and metaphysical.
So despite all the scientific curiosity and the potential value inside, the 2011 Supreme Court attempt only managed to open the antechamber, right? The outer chamber of Vault B.
Correct. They got past the grill and the wooden door, but the final iron door remained sealed. And then, crucially, an elaborate ritual called the Ashtangala Deva Prasnam was performed. This is where divine will is consulted through complex astrological calculations and signs.
And what did the ritual conclude?
It declared Vault B a forbidden zone. The conclusion was that opening it would invoke divine displeasure and potentially cause calamities. This finding significantly influenced the situation, leading the Supreme Court to eventually issue an injunction against forcing Vault B open.
And the resistance from the Travancore royal family and the temple priests, the Tantras, against opening Vault B that remains incredibly strong, doesn't it? Citing deep faith, tradition, and the potential dangers.
Absolutely. They're staunchly opposed, which of course only fuels speculation about what could possibly be inside that's so important or perhaps so dangerous that it must remain hidden after all this time.
What are the main theories? Even greater treasures.
That's the most common one, yes. Treasures that dwarf even those found in Vault A. But other theories are perhaps more intriguing. Some speculate about ancient scrolls containing lost knowledge, perhaps historical texts or scientific secrets. Others suggest divine objects, maybe items used by gods or heroes in the epics, or even sacred weapons like the Sudarshana Chakra, Lord Vishnu's legendary discus.
Wow, that's venturing deep into mythology.
It is. And tying back into the mystical protection, there's this specific belief about how Vault B can be opened. The legend says that only a high-level priest, a Siddhapurusha, with an absolutely impeccable understanding and perfect resonant recitation of the powerful Garuda mantra can safely unlock the Nagabandam seal.
The Garuda mantra, dedicated to Vishnu's eagle mount, the enemy of serpents. Makes sense.
Exactly. But it requires exceptional spiritual merit, years of preparation, and incredibly strict rituals. And the current consensus among those who believe this is that no one known today possesses that specific ability or knowledge.
So it adds this almost mythical, untouchable layer to its status. It almost makes you wonder if that's the real guardian. Not a curse, maybe, but simply the current human inability to meet its divine prerequisite.
It's a powerful thought. And alongside all this mystery, there's the very real legal drama that unfolded around the temple's administration and wealth. That's another complex layer to its modern story.
Right. It really kicked off, publicly at least, with a lawsuit back in 2007, filed by a lawyer named T.P. Sundara Rajan. He accused the Travancore royal family of mismanagement of the temple and its assets.
And this lawsuit set off a chain reaction of court battles that really captivated India and the world, given the treasures involved.
Yeah.
The Kerala High Court initially ruled in 2011 that the state government should take over the temple's administration.
But the royal family appealed that, didn't they? Took it to the Supreme Court?
They did. And the Supreme Court then appointed a committee to oversee the inventory of the vaults. That's when Vault A and the others were opened. There was also significant controversy around 2014. An amicus curiae, basically a friend of the court expert appointed to advise, submitted a report alleging financial irregularities and poor record-keeping. He even sensationally claimed that Vault B had been opened multiple times in the recent past, possibly secretly.
Which the royal family strongly disputed, right?
Very strongly. They maintained it hadn't been opened since the 19th century, at least not the main chamber. This led to further legal wrangling. Eventually, the Supreme Court ordered a change in administration, appointing a 5-member committee to manage the temple's secular affairs. However, crucially, the royal family retained their traditional role as trustees, specifically overseeing the rituals and religious duties.
Which highlighted that interesting legal point in India, didn't it? That deities can own property, immense property in this case, but legally they're considered minors. So they require adult oversight, making the question of who provides that oversight absolutely paramount.
Exactly. And the final crucial Supreme Court ruling on this came down on July 13th, 2020. It was a landmark decision. It overturned the earlier Kerala High Court judgment and decisively upheld the traditional custodianship rights of the erstwhile Travancore royal family.
So control went back to the family.
Essentially, yes.
Okay.
The ruling recognized their unique historical role as servants, or shebates, of the deity, stemming from that historic Thripati-Dunham pledge in 1750. It affirmed that deep historical and spiritual bond between the royal lineage and the temple.
Okay, so we've covered the myths, the architecture, the mind-boggling wealth, the forbidden vault, the legal battles. But beyond all that, what does this all mean for us today? What's the enduring significance? Because the Sri Padmanabhaswamy Temple is clearly far more than just a repository of gold and gems. It embodies something deeply spiritual, doesn't it? A living monument to centuries, millennia of faith.
Absolutely. And I think what's really powerful here is to consider the philosophy behind such ancient temples, something articulated by figures like Sadhguru, for example. They suggest that places like Padmanabhaswamy aren't merely places of worship in the conventional sense. They are conceived and built as energized spaces.
Energized spaces. How so?
Through what they call a science of consecration, a process using specific geometries, materials, rituals, and sustained focused intention, designed to transform inert stone or metal into a palpable, living divine presence. The idea is that the space itself holds and radiates energy.
Okay.
So people don't just go there to pray to an idol, they go there to be in the presence to absorb that energy. Sadhguru uses the analogy of a public battery charging place, but for the human system, for the soul, a place where people can connect with something deeper than the everyday.
That's a really interesting way to think about it. It shifts the focus from just the material wealth or even just the historical significance to the experiential, the energetic quality of the place itself. It makes you think. It's not just what lies behind Vault B that keeps people wondering. It's the idea that maybe some doors, some mysteries are meant to remain shut. Perhaps our modern curiosity, our drive to uncover and quantify everything, sometimes clashes with an older wisdom. A wisdom that understood the power of the sacred, the reverence found in the unknown, the untouched.
Exactly. And maybe, in the end, what if the real treasure isn't the gold or the rubies or even some lost knowledge we imagine sealed away? What if the true value is the reverence itself, the reverence that built this incredible place over millennia, the faith that preserved it, the belief that divinity sleeps there in silence, waiting? What if some mysteries, by their very nature, retain their power precisely because they remain mysteries? Food for thought.
A powerful thought indeed. It leaves us with a sense of wonder, contemplating not just what might be locked away, but the enduring power of faith and the deep mysteries that still echo from our ancient past. Thank you for being on this trip with us. Stay curious, stay grounded, and stay tuned for the next one.